Hello everyone, and welcome to what is going to be hopefully a long line of deck list profiles that I'm going to be bringing you. Once I bring you the deck list profile, I'm going to be playing with the deck, and I'm going to be having a lot of fun with it. I'm either going to be playing with my fiance, who you can see right back there. She's getting ready for date night, and we're going to hibachi. It's almost as good as Olive Garden. Either way, today we're going to be going over Solar Nexus. Now, Solar Nexus is not very good in general. It is not very good. However, what it is good at is keeping yourself alive if you know how to play it well. So I'm going to give you guys the deck list that I've been running, that I've had a lot of fun with, and it's a little controversial because it goes against the grain of what some people actually think a good solar card is. So let's go ahead. We'll get into spirits last. We will jump right into it. To start off, we have our 2 copies of Lustragon. Why is my microphone cable right there? We then have 3 copies of the Drataya. We have 2 copies of Cypramol. We have 2 copies of P-Gleam. We have 3 copies of Plucky. And then, to top it all off, the Piece de Resistance. We have a 3/3 line of cows. Now, people are going to tell you cows are bad. People are going to tell you cows stink. People are going to... Okay, I'm done. Cows are really good. I don't care what anybody says. Having the ability to do a bunch of different things with cows is really good. This is going to be the main Elestrals lineup. I'm not running any Astrabbit in this deck, which is a little funny to think about, just so you guys can see there are no other Elestrals at all. So there is definitely some places that you might be able to take out a card or two and put in Astrabbit. You could take 2 lines of cows out and put an Astrabbit. You could take all your cows out and you could do something like a Lumaru for a 5 beater, and then something like your 3 Astrabbit. That is also very, very fine. But the main goals with this deck are to get Lustragon out. I would love to have a 3rd copy of Lustragon in this deck, but I sadly do not own a 3rd copy of Lustragon, so I'm rocking the 2. But ideal scenario, start out with Plucky. You get your Divine Rune out, you immediately go ahead, start disenchanting to try to get some good cards. Your ideal situation is you want to start out with Plucky and Cow in hand, get your Plucky to get your Divine Rune, and then after that you throw your Solbelle out into defense position. Whenever it's out into defense position, you foretell 5, and then hopefully get into a big cow, which allows you to heal 2, and then you can disenchant to pop 1. So very, very good ability to just go 1 for 1. P-Gleam is another really good 1 for 1 card, because whenever you send it in, it sends it sets something that has an attack stat to 0 until the end phase. So it's an immediately in the ability to kill something, which is really nice. But it is a targeting effect, a little bit less than ideal. Cypramol is kind of a hidden gem in this deck because it does a lot of deck thinning, but what it also does is it allows you to have a pseudo line of protection to be able to get into your Lustragon a little bit easier. So essentially, you go into Cypramol, it allows you to search your deck for a card called Golden Fleece, and then you can empower it onto your Cypramol. And then whenever you empower it, if Cypramol would be destroyed, it's actually Golden Fleece that is destroyed instead. So it's allowed to stay an extra round, even if it would be destroyed, giving you your 1 Spirit Elestral on the field to be able to get into your Lustragon. I really like Cypramol in this deck. I think it's really, really good. But one of the main Nexus portions of this deck is going to be your Drataya. You can Nexus 1 Solar. When you do, you can return up to 2 Solar from your Underworld to your Spirit deck. Really, really helpful to be able to keep yourself healthy and in the game. And with a 4 defense line, with the copious amounts of back row that you have in this, it will be able to stay around for a very, very, very long time. Essentially, that's everything. I didn't cover Lustragon, the main portion of this deck, I guess, but it says you can Nexus up to 3. When this Lustragon receives 1 or more Solar in a Nexus, you can target and destroy a card. So essentially, you try to get this out next to this, and then you can just bounce Nexuses, heal, destroy, and then just go that way. It is very, very powerful. It is very, very good, and I like it a lot. But more than anything, I like cows. Cows are really, really good. I hope they don't get forgotten about in the future. I hope something comes out that makes them just a lot better, because I really do enjoy playing cows. Next up, we're going to go over some of the runes. We have a single copy of Earthquake because it has been limited. You cannot play it. Don't play more than one copy of Earthquake. We were playing a one copy of Temple of the Sun to be able to wipe out other stadiums, because being able to stadium wipe is extremely important. Next up, we have our 2 copies of Apollo for our foretelling for everything that we are going to need in the entire world. Apollo. We are then rocking 2 copies of Golden Fleece. I talked about why Golden Fleece is important, but I'll talk a little bit more about it in a minute. And then we have our 3 copies of First Light. First Light is essentially what makes the deck go. You're allowed to take any solar Elestral. So whenever the card says search your deck for a solar Elestral, it means anything with any cost. So you can use this to search out a Lestragon and put it on top of your deck, a solstox and put it on top of your deck. If this card meant that you could only search a 1 spirit Elestral, it would physically say search your deck for a 1 solar spirit Elestral, or a 1 solar sign spirit Elestral, and that's how you would know it had to be a single spirit card. But it can be any solar, which is phenomenal. So really like this. Golden Fleece, essentially it gives one of your Elestrals a +2 into its defense, and if it would be destroyed in battle or by an opponent's card effects, you can destroy this Golden Fleece instead. Allows your Sniper Maul to stay on the field. And then Apollo, this is part of the big aspect of foretelling. When you cast this Apollo, you can chant up to 3 solar to it. You can disenchant 1 solar from this Apollo in order to foretell 3 and add up to 1 solar spirit or foretold Elestral in this way to your hand. So, also, just so we're clear, I actually misread that. You can add up to 1 solar Elestral, not 1 solar spirit. That would just go against everything that I just talked about before. So, the reason why I like cows. Let's go over what they do now that you see what Apollo does. So, we have Little Cow. While you foretell, you may special ascend this solbelle into a foretold solstox. Your Apollo's effects that foretell cards reveal an additional +2 cards. So, by having 3 copies of solstox, if you're able to foretell 5 and not hit it, you're extremely unlucky. If you're able to use First Light, you can put this directly on top of your deck, and then you have a 4/7 wall on the field, kind of protecting you for a little bit, that goes around Tsunami, because this thing doesn't mind being into defense position. So with Solbelle, you foretold 5 because you used First Light. You foretold 5 with Apollo, you found a Solstox, you can special ascend to it. The special ascension effect is kind of what makes this card amazing. When you special cast this Solstox, you can enchant up to 2 solar from your underworld to your field. You can disenchant 1 spirit from your Apollo in order to target and destroy a card. I'm going to show you the combo at the end of this video, but this is one of my favorite combos of all time. Actually, I lied. I'm going to show you right now. So for this little combo situation, you have your Solbelle in defense mode. You use Apollo's effect. You disenchant 1 to foretell 5. Because you used First Light, your Solstox is on top of your deck. So when you foretell 5, you find your Solstox, you special ascend, and now, because you special ascended, you now get to return 2 spirits back onto your Apollo. Once you have put your additional 2 spirits on it, you can then use Solstox's effect to remove 1 of the spirits to destroy any card on the opponent's field. Runes, stadiums, Elestrals, as long as it says it can be targeted, it's fair game. That alone is a great combo that you're able to use and healthily keep yourself up. If they only have 1 Elestral on the field and you're like, oh, well, I don't care about anything, you can put this thing into attack mode. Or if you have face down runes in the back, you can put it into attack mode. There's a lot of things you can do with your Solstox. So I really like solstox. I think the cows are really cool, and I think people don't give them enough credit. Okay, and then to round this off, we're going to talk about the runes. In this one, we are actually running 2 Ambrosia and 2 Nectar of the Gods. The reason why I'm running 2 and 2 is because with Ambrosia, you're healing up spirits that you've used in the past because of your 3 Dratara and your Nexus possibilities. You can gain those back very easily. You don't even really need this. With solstox being able to special ascend and recover 2 spirits, you can do a lot of things with it, especially if you use it to recover 2 spirits, and then if it's your Apollo and you're able to take them off of the Apollo for a counter rune, you're healing it anyway. So you have a lot of healing. You don't really need 3 Ambrosia. 2 Nectar of the Gods you don't really need, simply because with all of your foretelling, you're pretty much going to always be able to get what you want, or get what you want on the following turn if you want a specific counter rune or something along those lines. However, in order to protect things like your cows, your Drataya, your Plucky, everything that is super important, we have 3 Shield of Achilles, we have 3 Gorgon's Gaze, and then we have 3 poison tipped arrows, essentially the big trio of what's going to be Elestrals for quite some time. The only thing that I don't really have in this is your Tsunami. Just to talk about what the cards do a little bit, we already talked about this, we talked about this. This essentially says if an opponent declares an attack with a card, you have to expend a spirit equal to that Elestral's enchantment cost in order to negate that attack and return that Elestral to their hand. So if somebody has a 3 enchantment cost Elestral out on the field, I would then expend 3, be able to drop it right back to his hand and protect my field. Really good card. I think it's going to be phenomenal, especially now that Laurels has been limited. Gorgon's Gaze essentially negates everything. They can't attack, ascend, do anything. It turns them into stone. Shout out Medusa. And then Poison Tipped Arrow minuses the attack by 2, and then at the end of the turn, you're able to expend the same number of the enchantment cost and destroy it. So you have plenty of back row, you have plenty of fun things. Essentially 20% of your deck is going to be just simply straight up back row. And to round everything off, we have 18 Solar Spirits and 2 Earth Spirits to be able to get out your Earthquakes. Very good deck. It's a lot of fun. Do I think it's top tier? No, not at all. But can it win you games? Yes, extremely easily. I have gotten to the point to where I'm able to just Gorgon's Gaze, get a Lestragon out very early on in the game, and then go to town, especially after Earthquakes are limited to 1. It makes Lestragon absolutely phenomenal because of how high of an attack stat it has. It can just continuously pop and destroy everything until you play around Shield of Achilles, and then you can go for game. Super fun deck. I really like it. If you guys end up using it, let me know what you think. But I just want to say one more time, big shout out to Lestragon. If anybody has any of the Stellar Full Arts, hit me up.